Welcome to 2 cents short of a dollar, the show where we give our 2 cents and keep it 100. We're your hosts. That's Motiz. I'm Rue. Today, a fight that I think kind of flew under the radar, but I think it's a pretty good fight. Brian Mendoza, Tszyu, 154. I mean, Tszyu kind of been carrying 154 this whole year. I think this is his third fight of the year. So just in my opinion, I think it's going to be a pretty good fight. But what do you think of this fight? It's a sleeper fight for me.
I think it's an interesting fight, especially Mendoza coming off a great win against Fundora, right? Which was a huge upset, and he has a track record of upsetting some potential champions. Therefore, as a result, I think this is definitely going to be a good fight because Mendoza could crack, right? Obviously, he's going to come in and bang with Tszyu, but I think Tszyu should, well, I'll give my prediction later, but I think it's going to be definitely an interesting fight for sure, 100%.
Yeah, and then at the weigh-in, I mean, Mendoza looked shredded, like absolutely shredded. Like you could tell he's an excellent physique. And 154 is a good division. I know, like Charlo, before the Canelo 168 fight, has like supplemented his like supplanted everyone and become like the guy at 154. But I think previously it was just like such a well-rounded division, and maybe no one that you would really consider like a superstar, but it was just so many well-rounded fighters. A really fun division.
Yep.
But now, kind of seeing what Charlo's doing. But in the meantime, what I appreciate about Tszyu is, he didn't just hang around, wait for this undisputed fight, the money fight. He was like, I'm gonna stay active, I'm gonna stay busy, and not taking easy fights either. Fights that he could potentially lose.
Yeah.
So I think you got to support that. But I know you spoke a little bit about predictions. So in this one, kind of tell me who you got, how you see it going, and then I'll hop in right after.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a stoppage on either side, but I'm gonna go with Tszyu by unanimous decision. I'm gonna stick with that.
You think it goes the distance? Okay.
I'm gonna say it's gonna go the distance. I think both fighters, when it really gets crazy, I think their IQ is not gonna allow them to falter and kind of. I think they'll probably end up going into survival mode, one or the other. But then again, like I mentioned before, I can see it really being a stoppage either way, right? They both can crack. They're not necessarily, I wouldn't say they're defensively irresponsible fighters, but they're gonna go in there. It's gonna be fireworks essentially. So, but I'm going with Tszyu, just given what he's done. He's proving wrong against Tony Harrison. He's made me a believer. You know what he say my effing name. You're killing me with that one. That's hilarious.
So
that's hilarious. Saying that.
Perhaps to a lesser extent, but I don't know, because Tszyu is making a name for himself. This kind of reminds me of Stanionis Ortiz, like a fight that two guys, they seem pretty evenly matched. Maybe one's a little bit favorited, but like the fireworks seem inevitable. But sometimes when you have those fights, sometimes if we know that, the guys know that too, they're professionals. So sometimes they come in with a little bit of a different approach, but sometimes you just can't change who you are. But like you said, Mendoza can crack, Tszyu can crack. I do think Tszyu is a little bit better of an overall boxer, in my personal opinion, even though Mendoza is the more athletic guy. I think just like physically gifted athleticism, I think Mendoza has that department one, but I think Tszyu is a better boxer. I'm not sure who hits harder. Of course, Mendoza knocked out Fundora, but can't take that from him. He has knockout power. Fundora did kind of like lean into it, and then he's a tower. So once he gets hit, that's a lot of momentum. I just think Tszyu's movement will be better than Fundora. So I'm not sure if he's going to open himself up that much for a punch like that.
Right.
Which is why I will go with Tszyu in this one. Mendoza's a strong guy. I don't know if he's going to stop Mendoza. I want to say unanimous decision, but I kind of want to spice it up too and go. So let's go. Let's go Tszyu late stoppage, and by late, I'm going to say 11th round stoppage. Okay. This is only Mendoza's second fight that's scheduled for 12 rounds, and the Fundora fight didn't end up going 12 rounds because of the knockout. So when we get later into the fight, I can see Tszyu kind of taking him into a little bit of deeper waters and then kind of getting them out of there. I wouldn't think it would be like a one-punch knockout. If anything, I would say probably be like a technical knockout, a TKO. And the one thing I'm looking forward to in this fight as well, I know I've been going on for a while, Tszyu has a 2-inch arm length advantage. And I think we could see that in some of the exchanges where they're both opening up. I think the extra 2 inches can kind of help Tszyu get there, but just be slightly out of range and maybe get Mendoza in some trouble later on in the fight.
Yeah, definitely agree. I do think Tim Tszyu's punch selection is more broad compared to Mendoza's.
He
As
really
well.
showed that in the Tony Harrison fight, I think.
Yeah, he showed patience too, which was interesting. He
That's a
showed
good
patience,
point.
and I think that'll work to his favor in this fight for sure.
Yeah. Patience is going to be a big thing. So Tszyu wins, right? Or this is just hypothetically. We're just saying if Tszyu wins, just because we both picked Tszyu, not taking anything from Mendoza. If Tszyu wins, do you think it's focused on the Charlo fight, or is there another big fight for him at 54, or is it Terrence? You've been talking about coming to 54. You fight me. Like what route do you see Tim Tszyu taking if he is victorious in this fight?
I think he'll probably take the Charlo because Charlo's gonna go back down, right? And then if Charlo wants to fight and reclaim his belt, that's a potential fight. I don't know. I'll probably have to refresh my memory when it comes to some of these mandatories, right? But I think the next best option is definitely going to be Terrence Crawford, right? Because if Terrence Crawford can move up, claim that belt, it forces Charlo in a situation where he has to fight for undisputed, right? It puts them to clash essentially. But that really all depends on whether or not you get that rematch between Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, right? At 154, 147, because that can hold up things as well. So timeline, it really depends of whether or not Charlo has some obligations that he has to meet when it comes to mandatories, and whether or not Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fights at 154 or 147.
And I do think, speaking of mandatories, I don't know, I'll have to fact check this. I do think the gift that Erickson Lubin just got lines him up to be a mandatory for one of the belts as well, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, those mandatories are a good point. It can kind of hold things up. But I wonder if a guy like Charlo, real emotional guy, big ego, if he'll say, okay, I've been undisputed. Forget that to kind of just take the fight that I want, because some of you guys been talking crazy. You like, what I'm saying?
Okay, I can see that.
I can see that in a guy like Charlo, but not to turn this video into a Charlo video because this is about Tszyu and Mendoza. But I would be definitely excited to see what comes next. But let's not sleep on Mendoza because like he always says, what I'm saying, like he works hard.
Yeah,
he works hard, and he's very confident in himself. But I am gonna go with Tim Tszyu in this one.
Yeah. So definitely, y'all in the comment section, let us know who you guys got, whether or not you're gonna see another upset with Mendoza, or is Tim Tszyu gonna pull through, right? Fellow Australians, definitely let us know what you guys think. I know you guys are backing Tim Tszyu. How you see the fight going, whether or not it's gonna go to distance, early stoppage, let us know.
Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe. 2 cents short of $1, and we're out.